So it looks like you may just be back for season 2 of the Canada Build a Nation. And we have some lofty goals. Despite some road bumps along the way in season 1, Kingsley Balele from non-league Canadian football to 4th Division. We are ready to try and get promoted to Division 3 in Portugal in season 2. We have some new players, some returning faces, and a ton of new strategies to try and get this team to the top. Obviously, we limit ourselves. We can only sign Canadians or partially Canadians and players from the São Miguel Island where Rabo de Peixe resides on. But we will see if we can get ourselves up to the 3rd division this season. I think you guys are really gonna enjoy this season. There are some crazy ups. Hold on, we're gonna score for you. Come on, Mamane! Take us home! There are some crazy downs. Oh, what the? We made a new rivalry in the season. Ardo Costa has implied that you aren't actually performing that well and that your current overachievement is down to the complacency of your opponents? Dude, Kosa has just made himself look ridiculous. I'm not a fan of him. Yeah, we're starting to beef with this guy. What the? And there was possibly a late playoff push that may or may not have led us to promotion playoffs. I guess you'll have to wait and see. So let's get straight into season 2 of the Rabo de Peixe Canada Build a Nation. All right, guys, so season 2 of the Canada Build a Nation by way of Rabo de Peixe starts now. And obviously, if you guys watched the first video, spoilers ahead, watch the first video if you haven't. We did not make the 4th division playoffs last season. So just to quickly remind you kind of how it works, the top 2 teams from each group go into a 4-team group playoff. We did not make that. Lagoa and Barreirense made it over us, unfortunately. And Lagoa, which is actually one of the teams on our island where Rabo de Peixe is in the Azores. It's the São Miguel Island. Lagoa is like on the south end. We're on the north end. So they're a pretty cool rival. Actually, they got promoted. And we fell in 3rd place. So for this season, our goal is to get into these top 2 places. Some of the teams in here are Alcanes, Caldas, Fatima, Lusitano Açores, Maranhense, O Elvas, Pero Pinheiro, Pombal, Portimacense, Sertanense, Surense, União 19, and Vitória de Sernache. In terms of how we stack up to some of these teams, some of them have pretty large wages. For instance, I think Maranhense is one of the largest wage teams in this division with a highest paid player of 35,000. To kind of just show you in comparison to what we're paying players, our highest paid player is 16,000, and this is yearly wages because I'm a dirty American who doesn't do weekly wages. I could never. But yeah, that's kind of where we are. This is our starting point for the season. Obviously, we will get paired up with another group's top 2 teams if we do make those spots, but that is the goal. Top 2. We were 3rd last season. I think we can make it happen. So how are we going to make it happen this year? Well, we had to add some reinforcements and we had to let some guys go. So in terms of transfer history, we had a fair number of players come in and then a fair number of players go out. We were able to make $53,000 and then all the players that we brought in were free. So let me run you through the players that we brought in first. Luis Mamane was a deal that we had agreed to at the start of in the middle of last season. He is another created player by Discord and our chat, where in the Discord you can basically build a partially Canadian or partially Portuguese player. The Portuguese one has to be from the island, and they will join our team. All of their potential abilities are between like 110 and 130. I kind of just randomize it, and I build a player around the 70 current ability range that kind of fits the player that they're trying to make. So Luis Mamane is kind of a complete 8-6 hybrid player that likes to shoot from distance. He's a Peruvian Canadian, so very excited for him. I think he'll be a good backup for us at first. Then we brought in a pair of Santa Clara B players in Samuel Velho. Santa Clara B is the biggest team in the Azores region of Portugal, the island regions. And the reason that we brought these 2 players in, we felt it was appropriate, was because they are from Ponta Delgada, which is one of the bigger municipalities on our São Miguel Island. So Samuel Velho, he's projecting as battling for that starting left back spot. A teammate of Velho is Andre Cunha, the youngster from Santa Clara B, who's a flex wing, who's going to play both sides, also from Ponta Delgada. More of a breakthrough prospect. We'll see how well he gets on in the first bit of the season. After that, we brought in another created player in Dwayne Jetski. Obviously, these are created names with a last name like that. He is a 10 who kind of likes to slip behind the defense. And in the notes, it was said that he calls the area behind the defense, the jet ski office. So he'll probably start in our youth team, and we'll see how he gets on. I don't really see him playing too much this season because there are some deficiencies in his game, but I'm excited nonetheless to use him. Next, we have a pair of partially Canadian players from North America. The first being Ali Musa, the Somalian Canadian from Cavalry FC, who over the past 4 seasons in Cavalry in the Canadian Premier League, mostly playing wing, has scored 2 goals, 7 goals, 5 goals, and then 2 goals in the league, but he also scored 2 in the cup. Ali Musa is a player that I'm very familiar with from my CPL days in an online league that I ran earlier in FM24. He's a good pressing forward who can play wing and striker. I'll probably play him at striker in our new system because we're running a 4-4-2. So we'll see how he gets on. He is one of our higher paid players, and I think he's going to bring a good veteran leadership to this squad. Next to him is kind of a player on the opposite end. He plays pressing forward as well. He's a Canadian American who's played a lot in North Carolina, but I really liked him because 11 finishing, 12 work rate, 17 aggression, a great backup pressing forward with good mentals. And at North Carolina, he scored a couple goals. He really hasn't done too much in his career, but on a non-contract deal where we don't really risk losing much if he's not good, I think he's going to be a good backup for us in the 4th division. After him, this one I'm excited for, Nicolas Florio-Chateau. Probably one of the splashier signings we were able to make for a real player. He is a Canadian striker that is loaned to us from Vancouver 2, the Vancouver Whitecaps' second team. He is going to be our advanced forward in the 4-4-2, a left-footed striker. He's scored a few goals in 8 goals in 30 appearances for Vancouver 2, and he's trying to leave the team, so maybe he's a player that we could go after at the end of his deal. In terms of his contract, it is only a 7-month loan. After him, a guy that I'm really excited for, Max Anchor is going to come and be our new goalkeeper because we did let Matthew Noguera go, and he actually went to Lagoa, our island rivals, which is pretty interesting, but we helped develop him. So Max Anchor is going to be our number 1, a really good set of attributes with 12 reflexes, 15 kicking, 11 one-on-ones, good communication, good aerial reach. Very excited for this guy. I think this is one of the biggest signings of the summer for us. Next to him, another really good one, a player that I did not think would come to the club, Rida Zuhir, who actually has really good MLS experience. Didn't play the best, but played in the MLS as just like an ultimate bench player, 34 bench appearances. He's not the fastest, but he's either footed. He's kind of like a turret type passer in the midfield. We're going to play him in the double pivot next to another midfielder in the 4-4-2. So I'm excited for him. I think he could be a key player for this season, and I think he immediately just slots in next to one of our younger DMs for the next season. And then finally, we have Thomas Bacalhau and Jesse Costa, 2 players from last season who are on loan now. And why is that? Because Thomas Bacalhau was sold to Boa Vista for a $42.5 thousand transfer fee with, I think, a 30% of his next transfer fee will be owed to Rabo de Peixe. Any sale of him to another club, we get 30% of that, and that's going to be the same for Jesse Costa at 25%, and he was sold for just $10K. But these were both players, 2 players that we got on a free, so I'm very happy about that. Thomas Bacalhau should still be starting at the left wing for us this season. He's a very talented player that played pretty solid for us last season, 6.91, 2 goals, 4 assists, playing both the left, right, and middle attacking midfield. So excited to have him back. Obviously, his value boosts now that he's, a Boa Vista player, but when we're a 4th division team, it's kind of hard to get a ton of money for guys. Same thing goes for Jesse Costa. Not sure how much he'll play. He's a good utility guy, but I have a few different options now at multiple positions. So, knowing that he's sold and doesn't have a future with us, I might play him a little less. And the nice thing, too, is Bacalhau and Costa, we don't have to pay any of their wage this year, so that helps us. In terms of other sales, Juan Delgadillo was sold to SBI Dill for free. He was one of our midfielders who played half the season as a starter, half the season as a backup, but he is going to play with SBI Dill, a non-league team on our island, who also have former players, Madeira, who played for us last year, as well as Luis Cachera for a little bit. Finally, Edgar Mora and Elson Santos both left to União de Sartem. Santarem. These were two guys who barely played for us last season. He was our goalkeeper last year, 6.77. He was good in spurts, but I don't know. There's just points where I just feel like we needed a better keeper. He's played one game so far and allowed two, so not a great start in third division, but we got him his run back in Portugal. He started at Benfica, played in Canada for a little bit, back and forth between Canada and Portugal. We scooped him from York United, gave him a full season in the fourth division. It looks like he'll have a full season in the third division. So that's kind of the roster overview going into season 2. In terms of tactics, we are moving from, this was what we played last year, 4-2-3-1. We're going to a classic 4-4-2 in order to try and get some more goals, as well as have a block of defenders that just feel a little bit safer back there. Let me just switch that. That's the lineup. Floreal Chateau and Musa will play up top together, pressing forward, advance forward, just a tale as old as time. Zuhir and Benavides will start as our first two midfielders. Costa Lopez can kind of sneak in here and play. I'd also maybe like to see some Amane from the U19 team, but I'm going with just a core group of veterans here. Diego Mati, player from last season that scored 5, is going to start on the left. Zuhir, we know. Benavides, one of our island local players playing in that ball-winning midfield role, but he can also flex into like a central mid on support or something like that. Ventura going to play on the right wing, just a little further back. Our best player in terms of scoring last season. So hopefully he can continue that form just a little further back. Frutuoso, the vice captain of the team, on the right wing back. Amadume, a great midseason pickup last year, who played a little bit better as a DM, but we're going to start him at center back with Abdi. And then finally, Max Anchor and Velho. I think we're set up for a good start of the season. The 4-4-2 looks good. I'm excited to see who kind of makes a name for themselves. I'm really curious to see how Max Anchor gets on, because we've made a big choice in letting Niguera go, who wasn't a bad keeper, but Max Anchor is a really good keeper and has more potential than Niguera. So I'm excited. Other than that, I will see you guys at the midway point of the season for another check-in. I hope you guys are excited for this season, and let's get into it. All right. Well, boy, do I have some updates for you guys. It has been an incredible up and down first half of the season. There were highs, there were lows, and we are dealing with a pretty key injury right now. So let's get straight into how we are doing halfway through. We will look at the standings. In Group C, we are third place, 26 points, 29 goals for, 17 against, 12 goal difference. O Elvas lead with only four goals against, which is pretty insane. And then our regional rivals, Lusitania Azores, 3 points ahead of us with 29 for, 12 against. So we're kind of similar more to Lusitania Azores, and then Elvas are just playing this crazy defensive style of play. In terms of the season, a really good start. August was very good to us. We conceded 3 goals through 4 games. A 1-0 victory against Caldas at home to start it. A 2-0 victory against Vitoria de Cernache, and then a 2-2 tie against Pombal, where Ali Musa scored a very nice brace despite giving up 2 late goals. So this is a game that I felt like our defense just kind of let us down, and I thought the 4-4-2 would kind of help with that, but it was kind of just poor goalkeeper play. If you look here, 0.81 XG, 0.68 XG, both keepers just did not have their best days. But yeah, Ali Musa doing well to start the season. Bacalhau to Ali Musa, an incredible pass from Bacalhau. That's just what he does. The low knee from Boa Vista. Our own player, but now a low knee from Boa Vista. Velhau down the left, finding Musa in a little bit of space, and that's just a beautiful goal. That gave me a lot of hope for the season when I saw that from Musa, despite only having 9 finishing, and he's hitting shots like that. And then the second half, this is when the other team just kind of came back. Gilherme getting between the defense. Amadume not doing enough marking that. Really disappointing defensive display there. And then a corner in the 87th minute. Deflected, comes back, they recycle it, and somehow Wanya gets in between 2 guys, and Anchor gets hands to it, but they're not strong enough hands. So that was a letdown for sure. Later, we would beat Pero Pinheiro 2-1. Very early goals for both Ventura and Costa Lopez. This is kind of the time where Costa Lopez, I'll show his goal. He was that guy that we were kind of shopping around, seeing where we can make money with him, and he started kind of really ramping up his play at this point. I was excited for him, and look at this shot. Crazy deflection. But we take those, and he wants to hear it from the away crowd. So good 2-1 there. Then we move on to a cup game at home against a club that's a non-league team. We played our B team and were able to get by on penalties. Then win our biggest ever game up into that point, 3-0, against the team that I was talking about with the really high wage in Marahense, 3-0. And this was really cool because Preston Pop scored his first 3 goals in a hat trick against Marahense, and some of these goals are pretty interesting. So, and they came kind of late. The first one not till the 60th minute. Defensive lapse from Marahense, and Preston Pop's able to get in there, sneak in. Good pressing forward type goal. On this one, we were able to turn them over again. Ali Musa to Preston Pop. Their combo is nice in that 4-4-2, and he just hits a banger from outside the box. And then finally, as the game's kind of concluding, I think that's how you say it, Preston Pop again. So 3 really fortunate goals for Pop that help him find, his first 3 goals of the season. So a really good win there. However, we would follow that up with our first ever loss against a 3rd division team in the cup, and we would lose in extra time to a 120th minute goal to Paul Galatz. Honestly, we kind of shot ourselves in the foot here. I feel like we could have, we were on top of a few chances. It was a very even game, but in the 120th minute, we just got dogged. It just felt really bad. Costa, this is why we didn't play Costa much this season. Costa just lets that ball get over him. Gulat in the Xbox lime green kits. Yeah, worse run than we had last year where we got to the 3rd round losing to Gil Vicente. But we would rally a bit and beat Yunyao 1919, 4-0. Ali Musa with a brace. We would then go on to beat Fatima 1-0, where Pires would score. This goal was even better. A late winner against Fatima, where it felt like we could get nothing going all game, but then Pop just delivers this beautiful ball over the top. Pires brings it down so calmly and then allows it to get to his right foot where he just dinks it over the keeper. I love that goal. I absolutely love that goal. We would then have an international break where we'd play a couple friendlies just to keep fit, go on and beat Sorense 3-1. And this is where things get a little bit interesting. There's a new name here, and that name is Tony Harrison, who we signed right before the window closed, and he is one of our new starting center backs. Tony Harrison, right there, the no-nonsense center back from the Vancouver Whitecaps Academy. So this was kind of a new point for us in the save, where we signed this guy for free from the Whitecaps Academy to become an important player, be the 2nd highest paid player on the roster. This is kind of a signal of intent of how we want to sign players, what type of players we want to bring to our team. These academy players who are playing well in the lower levels of MLS, and since we can scoop them up before they get drafted, we want to take the best and give them good money to come play here. So he could be playing point guard in the NBA. But he chose to play for Rabo de Peixe in the 4th division of Portuguese football, so happy about that. But I think that's where some of our good fortune would start to end. This is a huge inflection point in the save. 5-6 loss to Alcanes, and if you guys have seen the video I've already released, I'll link it in the top or however you do that. You'll see it somewhere. The Alcanes manager came out swinging against us. He was not a fan of us. He started talking shit about us, saying we are overachieving up until the point of the season. He's been playing bad teams. There's a reason. There's not a good reason they should be there. We're undeserving of our position. And I basically bounced back at him. He has no idea what he's talking about. He's going to get beat by me. We're going to destroy him. I basically kind of written him off. And it turned into one of the craziest 5-6 games that I have ever seen. And we can run through it really quick. If you want to watch the full video about the game, check it out. But I will show you, we'll just go through some of these goals. It was an insane game. So early on, we're just defensively, you can't do anything. Max Anchor had his worst ever game in a Rabo de Peixe uniform today, just absolutely shitting the bed. I think he ended with like a 5.4 average rating, which was just disgusting. It honestly made me so sad watching it on stream, but we were just getting absolutely hammered. We gave up 4 goals before we even started sniffing the goal, and the goal that we scored was just just wait and see. It's ridiculous. I've never seen a goal like this in Football Manager, I'm not gonna lie. That was really nice, to be fair, but I mean, defensively we're just terrible. But here's our goal. I don't even know if you'd consider it our goal. They try to get it back to the keeper, and he just kind of turns his brain off. I do not know what happened. I think he probably he was smashing the over on like 7 goals, so he was just trying to help the game towards that way, but I don't think he even had to do that. Later, Bertha after we got Hope would just hit a nasty one from outside the box. And the second half, despite a good halftime speech, they would. Apparently, they heard our halftime speech because Bertha wanted to score another one. But we did not stop there. And this is the game where I kind of gave up on the 4-4-2. The 4-4-2 kind of betrayed me in this game, and I had a bad taste in my mouth. So we went back to our classic 4-2-3-1, and it started to open up some chances. Musa gets back into the goal scoring column from an assist from Bacalhau. Preston Pop's going to just nail a great volley strike that he lets fall right to his foot off a deflection. And then, we're getting hope. We're getting hope. At this point, it's 6-3. Ali Musa is going to take his time, and Preston Pop's going to put us 6-4. And then as the game's kind of concluding, it's 84th minute. We get a penalty off a handball. Preston Pop knocks that in, but unfortunately, we weren't able to get a 6th goal despite 3.53 XG, and Alcanes just steal one, and the coach let me hear about it. So crazy game. We would then go on to play the league's best defense in O Elvas. Anchor then put up a good performance, 7.1, 0-0. Go on to play a friendly in the window just to stay fit, the international window. Portimacense would take us down with a late goal from Filippo Trombella in the 74th minute, which was kind of hard to watch. Another one of those games where it felt like we were playing well, but our defense wasn't, was just giving up these like late mistakes. And Abdi tried to clear it. He did to an extent, but Trombella's just there to clean it up and put us to bed 3-2. So that one kind of stung a bit. We would then go on to lose to Sartenense. They would score 2 early goals. Velho would help us out later, but again, just a game where it felt like we could do more. But they scored 2 goals on 2 shots on target. Max Anchor 6.3 right there, so that was disappointing. We would then go on to beat, at this time in the series, in this save, first place Lusitania Açores 3-2. And then we would play a friendly here just to keep fit because it was a 2-week break. And Max Anchor, despite it being a break, decided to break his arm. So he will be out 3 to 5 weeks going into the second half of the season, and our backup goalkeeping situation is just not it at all. So at this point, I was kind of shitting it. Yeah, it was just disappointing. It was really disappointing to lose him here. But I'll kind of show you what has been going on with the team outside of that. So to this point in the save, in this season, Preston Pop is our leading scorer with 7 goals. However, he's just so streaky. I mean, I think he had 2 hat tricks in that. He had a hat trick in that first game I showed you where he scored 3, and then he scored 1 goal in between his next hat trick, and that was in the game where we almost came back 6-5. So he's just so streaky. So that's not why he's the starter. Ali Musa has 6 and 4. João Ventura has definitely slowed down a bit with 4 and 1. And then Harrison and Chateau have 2 each. Chateau has just not worked out this season. He has 2 goals in 7 appearances. Doesn't really provide anything on the field. He never feels like he's in a scary spot. It's like he's not there. He's like invisible out there. And the only 2 goals he scored was a brace. Outside that, our leading assisters are Bacalhau and Ali Musa, like I mentioned. Costa Lopez, who's been playing really good, 12 and 2, has 3 assists. And then Rita Zohir also has 3 assists. So this is kind of the best lineup right now that we've been playing. Musa, Bacalhau, Costa Lopez, Ventura, Zohir, Benavides, Velho, Abdi, Harrison, Frutuoso, Anchor. However, this is where things might change for us. And I know because, I've played it all. This is where things did change for us. Costa Lopez has a huge bid from Troyes, $575,000 from Troyes, a Ligue 1 Uber Eats team. I don't know how to shout out Uber Eats. So if we get that money, we are in debt right now. That would put us to over $500,000 in our overall balance. We could put more money into payroll. We can get some key reinforcements. There's not really a goalkeeper that I like out there, but I do have some targets just in case. Because our goal is to make those first place or second place and make the playoffs. And we have targets. If we can sell Costa Lopez, our first are Canada, the striker from Halifax Wanderers, who is Canadian-Brazilian, his real name, Tiago de Freitas Guimarães Coimbra. He was the leading scorer in the CPL last season with 16 goals, 17 total, including a cup goal. So that is my number 1 target. We also really want to bring in Alfred Sumahoro, another center back like Tony Harrison. I don't have his full scouting knowledge, but I just know this guy's going to be a dog. We're going to be putting a bid on him, and he's been absolutely incredible, especially last season. He's such an interesting player in that he can play center back, DM, midfield, and left midfield. I don't think he's the fastest, and I see him as our left-sided center back who can ball play a little bit. Pause. But that's kind of the move there. If we can't get Canada, or if we do, I really want to bring in DeAndre Kerr, the Toronto FC alumni. I've used him in the CPL online save. Incredible, incredible striker slash wing. I really want to bring him to the squad. I think he'd be a key piece for this team, and we will put in a bid for him if we are able to get the Costa Lopez deal over the line. And finally, Liam Fraser would be a really good backup. 20 caps for Canada. I think he could help this midfield. We're not sure who our favorite combo with Zuhir is. I really like Mamane, but he hasn't played too much to this point in the season. I think I want to give him more time. Fraser could play there. Amadume plays there sometimes as a ball winner. But yeah, the starting lineup up until this point, this has still been the best lineup. Anchor injury is a problem, but if we can get those signings through, I think we're going to have a really, really good second half of the season. So that's kind of where we're looking. Again, third place in our group with work to do. Our first game coming off that is going to be against Vitória de Cernache, who we were able to beat at the start of the season, and we are going to go with our 4-2-3-1. At this point also, I guess I can kind of show you, the goals and everything. It's all four groups combined, so it's kind of hard to get your players up into those, but I would like to just show you one thing in terms of how we stack up with the rest of the league. Salary per year, there are, how many teams? There are 56 teams across all these divisions. We are spending the 30th most. So we're in the back half. But if we do sell Costa Lopez, I could see us getting into a top 20 spend. And ideally, that's where we kind of want to be. Maybe not top 20, but maybe top 25. It's up there with Lusitania Soares. That's one of the teams above us. And then O Elvas. I don't think they spend a ton of money, actually. They're just a really well-coached defensive team. Yeah, they're below us, actually. So things to keep in mind. But that's how the season's getting on so far. Let's go to the end of the season, see if we made the playoffs, and if we did, how that playoff run went, and what players we brought in if this Costa Lopez deal from Troyes does go through. I'll see you in just 1 minute. All right, the season is over. I tried to hide it so I can slowly reveal what happens in the save. I don't want to spoil how we did or anything like that, but I will tell you, drama. So what I will show you first, I guess you might notice here, the balance. Oh, I'm blocking the balance. The balance looks really good. $294,000. What could that mean? The Matías Costa Lopez deal did go through, and he did go to Troyes, but he was able to be loaned back to us. Something Quan, our Vietnamese midfielder, created player, also was sold to Chavez, so we had a big influx of money. And what did that mean? Our targets that we, said we want to bring in, Alfred Sumahara was brought in, and he came in and was an absolute beast at that left center back spot, pairing up with Tony Harrison. They're looking really good together. We brought him for a free, really good start to his season. We also brought in Tyler Crawford to be a prove-it deal left back because Velho just wasn't doing it at left back. We needed someone who was a little bit more defensively sound, more of a fullback. But he was pretty good for us. He came to pennies on the dollar. I don't know why. Maybe he really likes the island life. But Crawford's here, good signing, definitely the least exciting. And then the other ones, DeAndre Kerr, who signed with us and then immediately scored 16 league goals in 15 appearances. We did have him on penalties, but this guy, if you could carry a team on your back, this guy, he was like a Mount Everest Sherpa, the way he carried us in the second half of the season. So we'll obviously get into his whole journey with the team after this, after we kind of go through the games, but absolute beast of a player. And then finally, Liam Fraser, veteran presence in the midfield. We kind of slid him in as a backup at first, then a starter, then a backup, then a starter. He was a real squad player, kind of starting some games, backing up some games. Kerr, Bacalhau, Costa Lopez, Ventura, Zuhir, Mamane, the Peruvian just developing really well. Crawford, Sumahara, Harrison, Frutuoso, and Anchor, who came back from his broken arm and had an okay season, 6.77. But one thing you'll notice, we never had green lines with the two squads before. Bacalhau and Crawford getting down, Costa Lopez and Kerr getting down, Sumahara and Harrison, the 18-year-old academy kids getting down. Unfortunately, Bacalhau and Costa Lopez will be leaving at the end of the season because they're going to be going to their big clubs, leave the island life behind. But while we were here, they were cooking. So let me show you how the second half of the season went. I don't want to spoil too much. So where did we start? We started here against Vittorio de Cernace. And at this point, we hadn't signed DeAndre Carey yet because the Matías Costa-Lopez deal was still going through. But we get a great 4-1 victory to start, coming off the broken arm anchor. Backup keeper Branquinho gets a 6.6. Unfortunately, we follow that up with a huge away day game. Almost 1,200 people watching this game away at Caldas. And they get on a 0.34 XG, 2 shots on target. They get by us in the 87th minute. Does anything ever feel worse than that? Like, look at that. Ugh. That's just poor. That's just really poor. We weren't attacking the ball. Did I slam the desk? No, but did I want to? Yes. The next game, Palm Ball, 3-2 win. Backelhow with the brace. Tony Harrison gets a goal as well. This is kind of where Backelhow really started to find his goal-scoring form and help. Eventually, DeAndre Carey will get here, but them as a combo was really, really good. Good 3-2 win. We go play Pero Pinheiro, and this is the first game with DeAndre Carey leading the line. He was, when you get a player so good, they just immediately go into the starting lineup. That's what we did with DeAndre Carey. And his first goal for the club was very, very nice. I think the nice thing about DeAndre Carey, other than being number 69, is that he's really good at finding the channels. I feel like he's always in the correct spot when you're looking for a low cross. He always was kind of in between defenders, ready to like tap it in, it felt like. I really, really enjoy that about strikers, especially when you only have one. They need to be in the right spots, and he put himself there oftentimes. In the next game, against Marahense, that team that I was mentioning had a really high budget, 1-1. União 1919, a big win for us, 6-1. Love to see that. Ventura honestly came around and started scoring some goals in the second half of the season. Ended with 13, which was one more total than last season, but came in the league, which is where we really needed them. We don't need cup goals. That doesn't matter. We would then follow that up with another big win, 5-1 against Fatima. DeAndre Carey gets his first hat trick. Costa-Lopez and Backelhow get goals as well. Then Sorense, a 4-1, and DeAndre Carey gets another hat trick. I would love to show you some of the goals from DeAndre Carey's game here, but I absolutely adore this guy. Football Manager, you just fall in love with players, and I've had DeAndre Carey in 2 saves now, and this guy's an absolute dog. Nice little poacher's goal there. And he shoots the arrow right at the goalkeeper. That's savage. And then Backelhow, just lovely, lovely play. Unfortunately, it takes a little while. That's Ventura's goal. I'm like, Carey's going to score that one. Ventura, the captain. Thiago Krakot for the other team. Come along to Sega. That's an absolute banger. Let's just be real. Let's just be so for real right now. And then Backelhow down the left. I mean, Backelhow and DeAndre Carey had something special as well. I don't know what it is, but it's nice. And that was just a really, really, really good goal. So 4-1 there. And then we would face Alcanes. And if you guys remember, Alcanes, Ricardo Costa, that is the coach that does not like us. I doubled down, I tripled down, I quadrupled down talking shit coming into this game. And what did we do? We didn't score a single goal on 25 shots. And they had 1 shot on target in the 90th minute, and Max Anchor let it in. I think Max Anchor is a paid actor. He must be dating Ricardo Costa's daughter or something, because this is bullshit. 1-0 loss against Alcanes to our rival coach, and he has gotten the best of us twice after those press conferences. We went out and played Elvas 2-2, Portimonense 2-0, where we get a big victory, a 1-1 tie against Sertanense, and then a 3-1 win with another DeAndre Carey hat trick, where at this point in the season, it was on match day 16th, where we beat Palm Ball. We finally got back into second place. Where we were talking, before, right here. It was just a few games after that we got out of that third place slump and got into second. But this entire time we were worried about Elvas, who kind of threw. They were that team in first place with the good defense. They dropped. And I was like, they're chasing us, they're behind us, but we could keep the gap for most of the season. And then all of a sudden, this team, Sertanense, are creeping in fifth and fourth. Elvas drop. Let me take third really quick. And in these last few games, they were right on our ass. And we tied in the second to last game 1-1 with them. And I think what ended up happening in the last game was if they won and we lost, they would take second place from us. With a draw or a win in the last game, we would be okay. And that's the game where Lusitania saw us 3-1 with another DeAndre Carey hat trick. And that would send us into the promotion group stages. So we did achieve our goal of getting into the playoff spots, which I'm so happy about. So let's run through how those playoffs went. 4 teams in each promotion group. Those 4 teams were Lusitania Açores, who was our first game. Obviously, we're very familiar with them. We had been playing them, multiple times up into this point, and we beat them 2-1 in our first game. So really good game here. It set the tone of what we were trying to do in this group. We wanted to be one of the best 2 teams, and Anchor did not give me hope at the start. I thought we were screwed in the group stage when Max Anchor did that little butterfingers, dude. But we were able to come back. Backelhow, he's going to feed DeAndre Care. If DeAndre Care needs to eat, Backelhow is providing the spoon. And then right after that, just a few minutes after that, Backelhow again. I know I give a lot of credit to DeAndre Care for the carry job, but Backelhow just delivering dimes to our captain. Great win. 2-1. The second team in the group was Fabril do Barreiro. And this is an interesting team because their salary cap, they were looking like us at the start of the season. This is a team very similar to us in terms of how much they are spending. And this was a 1-1 tie. João Ventura and Guilherme Campos getting goals. I thought we were looking pretty good. This was a game that I thought we had pretty good control of at the start. But then the pace of the game kind of slowed down and they were able to answer. João Ventura picked up a knock, scored, before he could be subbed, and then we subbed him off because the injury was kind of bad, and I didn't want him to be injured for all the playoffs, and just bad defensive positioning, Frutuoso chasing the ball, just allowing that. 1-1, definitely thought we could have got more, but if you look at the stats after, maybe Fabril feels that way. And then finally, the third team in the group was Sacavenense, where we would lose our first game. And if you guys remember, do you guys remember Canada from the second half of this video? He decided, we tried to sign him to, complement with DeAndre Care. We were trying to sign him for $20,000 a year. Sacavenense go out and give this guy $110,000 until 2028, and he goes out and scores 1 goal in 11 appearances. So maybe it's their coaching or but look at that. That has to be one of the highest paid players in the league. That's not on a B team. Like if you're on Braga B or Benfica B, yeah, I get it. They're paying their 18-year-olds bags, But if you're on one of these teams, dude, and they already had a good striker who had scored 16 goals, and they went out and got Canada. So I don't know what they were thinking, and I think he would have scored more goals with us. But they did get the last laugh in this game, beating us 2-1. It was a very even game, and again, Max Anchor, a 6.3. I'm not sure about Max Anchor going into the next season. I think it just depends on what type of moves we want to make. But yeah, Max Anchor, you got to do more there, buddy. First goal, and then another goal, a long throw in for Daniel Pinto into the box. They do a little 1-2, back to Santos, to Silva, and I don't even know how to say his name, Vishavarun, kind of cool name. And then Zuhir late, this kind of gave me a little hope in the second half, like my speech did something, but Backelhow to Care, very nice goal, but wasn't enough. So at this point, we were sitting second in the group to Sacavenense, who were winning all their games. We would then go on to beat Fabril de Barreiro very, very handily. This was the easiest team to play against in the group, despite the fact that we tied them 1-1 in the first game. But Backelhow goes out and gets a hat trick early in the game. Zuhir finds Backelhow with an over-the-top ball. I was begging him to pass it to Care, but he just did it himself, and he basically told me to shut up, and I respect that. João Ventura is coming up the middle here, finding Costa Lopez to Backelhow again, and what's he going to do? Bang. Top right. Coach, stop telling me not to shoot. And then for the third goal, Tyler Crawford, who honestly played pretty well for us on that $500 deal. Backelhow again. Coach, stop telling me not to shoot. They would get a consolation goal late in the game, which is pretty well worked. Abdi, who we didn't really have a good backup right back at this point, was playing there. He's deathly slow. Couldn't cover that guy. And then, obviously we're going to be a little worried because even if you give up any goal, we don't want him to get momentum. But later on, Costa Lopez, really great shot. Duarte gets a hand to it, but it's just not enough for the very exciting shot from the 10 spot. In the next game, we would go and beat Lusitania Açores 1-0. And this is really what helped us. It was an own goal in a game that felt very, very jammy. This promoted us. This win promoted us. We were in such a good spot. This got us promoted. Honestly, it was a João Ventura goal. It wasn't really an own goal, but the game was jammy. It could have easily been a tie. And if it was a tie, the last day would have been more drama. But we went out and put our B team out there against Sacavenense, and Flaw, the Irish Canadian, who is another created player from How We Roll Owen, He gets a game and scores a penalty. But I think the real star of this show, and maybe a guy to watch out for next season, especially if you're Max Anchor, Bernardo Resende with a 7.8 player of the match in his professional debut. This is a guy with a ton of potential from our academy from before we got here and is from the island. So I'm excited about him. Definitely going to be one to watch. I can now go into this part because I didn't want to spoil it. We ended up getting promoted to Division 3 for next season. 13 points. We will be joined by Sakavanense. A little bummed that Lusitania Soros didn't join us. I would love for a regional rival to be there with us. We will be joined by Sakavanense, SP Espino, and Vittorio de Guimarães B. Top scorers this year were Rafael Nel with 19 from SP Espino, Boris Cache from Elvas, Du Michel, who is a Canadian-Portuguese player who I definitely have my eye on to compete with DeAndre Kerr for striking duty next season. And then DeAndre Kerr in 15 games is the tied for fourth highest score in the league. So if he was here the whole time, I think he could have won that easily. But other than that, a great season. So overall, this fourth division season went exactly how we wanted it to go. We made the playoffs, which was our top goal. We created a great infrastructure to move forward with a bunch of good Canadian players and Portuguese island players. So let me just show you kind of who our best performers, how the appearances showed up for the team, and just what to look forward for next season in terms of players on the squad. So João Ventura, despite being the oldest guy in the roster at 32, he is our captain at the end of the day, so he's going to be playing. 34 total appearances, 13 goals on 9.35 XG, and 3 assists, despite having 7.13 expected assists. So our strikers were letting him down. Great player that we are going to re-sign. We already did. At this point, I already did. We re-signed him to another one-year deal to join for the 2027 season, the 2026-2027 season in the third division. He is our captain. I am sentimental, and I'm not going to let him go just because he's getting a little worse. Rita Zuhir was our second most capped player in the midfield, but he wants to opt out of his contract. We may sell him in the summer. I'm going to see what the interest is like. However, I'll probably keep him just because he's a solid midfielder. Our next most capped player was our vice captain and Helder Frutuoso, who is just developing like a madman. This is Pixelated Suits created player in the save. He played pretty good as a wingback, 1 goal, 4 assists. I would love to see him, get a few more assists, but he's so aggressively attacking. I think he just tries to shoot a little bit too much. So hopefully we can get him more in those assist category. Max Anchor in his first season as a keeper for us. Honestly, I wanted a little bit more from him. The highs were high, but the lows were also low. And we made a little soundbite for him as well when he makes a save. So hopefully we can see more of those next season. But I'm definitely keeping him for next season. Will he be our number one? That is the question mark. With our newfound money, we might be able to find a guy who is better. Tony Harrison, the player that we signed right at the end of the summer transfer window. Great season, 27 appearances, 5 goals, and 7.07 rating. I think he is a key piece that we can build around for the next few seasons. And, now that we're going to be a fully professional team in season 3, or of the save in League 3, their values are actually going to be very good, and we can actually sell players for, substantial fees. However, this is a guy that's been here for almost a year now, and we could turn him into like a player that's club trained here. We need more of those guys for the third division. Next up was Thomas Backelhau, the incredible player that we sold to Boa Vista. Great season. His most complete season of the two. 7 goals, 15 assists. I mean, come on. Boa Vista getting an absolute dog. Alfred Sumaharo was paired really well with Tony Harrison. I don't know if his long-term position is going to be center back, but for now it's going to be because it's probably our weakest spot in terms of depth. But he was really good. He could play DM just because he's so slow. Maybe a holding midfielder type role in the future. I'm not sure yet. We'll have to see. But great season in his first half season. Then Matias Costa Lopez, who really just teamed up so well with our attack. 3 goals, 4 assists, a total of 5 goals, 8 assists. This season. With this in between. Well, sad to see him go. Brazilian Furies created player, but really good player. Behind him was then Tyler Crawford, who, as soon as he came in, just supplanted Samuel Velho as the starting left back, made a lot of good appearances, just did his job. Didn't need to do too much. Great defensive fullback. Ali Musa, in his first full year, was able to score a total of 9 goals and 6 assists, playing both striker and inverted wing. Very happy with him. Not sure what we're going to do with him next season. I don't think he's good enough for League 3. So maybe if he has some interest, we might let him go. But at worst, he'll be a backup for next year. Behind him, DeAndre Kerr. I mean, the guy who carried us 16 goals in 15 appearances. One of the most efficient strikers in lower division football, I'd have to say. Top ratings for possession loss, goals, and non-penalty expected goals. Zakaria Abdi was a guy who lost his starting spot to Amahoro when he came in, but a good backup. I think we're going to let him go. I don't think League 3 is going to be good to him. So he was our first ever Canadian signing from our affiliate club. Had a good first season, an okay second season, but I think Abdi's time is past. It's not like he's dying or anything. Paul Amadume, we're going to bring him back for a season. We already re-signed him as an impact sub, can play both center back and DM. Good metrics. I think he's just a very solid 23-year-old Canadian player. Luis Mamane really hit his stride in the second half of the season. A little bit inconsistent, but I want to develop him. I want him to be the next Matthias Costa-Lopez, Thomas Backelhau type player, and I think he can do that with enough playing time, so I'm happy with our Peruvian wonder kid. Preston Pop, so inconsistent. I think we're just going to let his contract go. I think we can improve on that striker spot for backups. Velho, another guy I think we're going to let go, just got his spot supplanted. I think we need a better left back overall. Crawford should be the backup at the end of the day. Liam Fraser, just, I don't know. I said it before, doesn't inspire me in the midfield, doesn't do enough. He's kind of utility, but I just didn't love him, and he's going to be asking for a big contract in League 3. Diego Mari was solid, but kind of lost his playing time later on to Backelhau. We're going to be letting him go at the end of the season, most likely. Valerio Branquino, he's a non-contract backup keeper. Unsure whether we're going to keep him or not. Probably going to let him go. Only played a few games this season. Rafa Benavides, he's been here since 2020 in the save, and I know I'm sentimental, but not that sentimental. We're going to be letting him go. We want to give some different midfielders some run. We also are going to be looking at Lucas Asare. He only played a few times this season, 10 total appearances, or 11 with the cup game, 6.93. I think he's going to back up Frutuoso next season, the Ghanaian Canadian. Guy, I think this is going to be the guy who takes Matthias Costa-Lopez's 10 spot. He is a created player by Bizarre Brigade, who is a Canadian, do-it-all midfielder. I think he's next up. Him and Mamane are kind of our new Backelhau Costa-Lopez. Didn't play a ton this season and didn't play great, but I'm going to trust him for next year. Cunha, despite not being the best this season, is still young, and I rate him highly because he's a homegrown from the island. I'm going to try and keep him for next season. Maybe if we have a B team, he can play there, but he's developmental. Other than that, some other guys kind of snuck in a few games, like this was... what's his name? Nico Velli is Pires. We just renamed him because one of our chatters renamed him. Scored 2 goals. I can see him competing for backup striker minutes, but I really don't know. He might need a year on the B team. We'll have to see. Jesse Costa gave us a little $10,000 boost after he got loaned back. Didn't really play much. And then finally, Pedro Tavares, long-term player for the club. Had a few appearances this season. Just doesn't have it anymore, so we're letting him go. But outside that, like I mentioned before, De Gea I'm very excited for. I think he has a future in this starting lineup for the club at the right wing. Not sure if it's next year. Not sure. Not sure if it's next year. Not sure if it's a year or two from now, but keep an eye on De Gea. And then finally, we're going to be letting a few other guys go, but Bernardo Resende too. He could be our backup for next year. But that's kind of the rundown of the season. Overall, I'm curious to see how each of these guys can acclimate to a higher level league. Obviously players like Kerr, Sumaharo, Harrison, I have a lot of belief in, but it's kind of like those I'm kind of worried about Anchor if he doesn't hit that potential a little bit. Is it too early to play guys like De Gea and Nico Velli more minutes? Questions to be asked. So really good season 2, excited for season 3. who knows what the squad will look like for next year. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that Season 2 journey. As always, we're making a big push in the 3rd Division, probably just trying to avoid relegation in the first season there. We are streaming this journey live on Twitch at Dill40K, usually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Usually 3 of those 4 days. It kind of rotates depending on my schedule. But yeah, if you guys ever want to see those live, make sure to check that out. And again, we're using the FM Tweak 1.2 engine, so make sure to check that out in the description as well. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like on it, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. I'd really appreciate that. And stop by on the stream if you ever have time. I make these videos too because I want to make them, but also it's a good way for me to kind of capsule these saves and have them be available for people who can't watch the stream. So I'm hoping you guys enjoy it. But other than that, I will see you in Season 3 of this save when we do the next video on this one, and probably some other videos in the meantime. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.